kept thinking it looked like a chicken. It's not a chicken, okay? Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts, and I hope you're doing okay. This is a project that I wanted to do for about 3 or 4 years. I've had it in my head that I really wanted to do this, and for one reason or another it's just got put to one side. But I'm gonna do it. It's gonna take me quite a while. It's gonna take me quite a lot of room, I think, so I think this is gonna be quite big. And I had to get the picture right. Now, I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want you to try and guess as you go through the video. It will all become clear when you get to the end. And I'm not going to put up a thumbnail that gives it away either. So have fun with this video. I hope it's not too long. I hope it's not too boring. And I hope it comes out good at the end because I don't know, I haven't done it yet. These are ice cube moulds. They're not designed for resin, but I think they would fit what I want to do. They should give me a 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre cube in each of the pockets, and there's 160 to each tray. Now I need to make a lot of blocks, and I figured using black polyurethane resin to start with for the black colour is going to save me a lot of time. This black polyurethane resin cures in about half an hour, 40 minutes, and I'll put a link for this in the description box below. It's going to save me days. I do need to make a lot of different colours and a lot of blocks. Now, I haven't measured how much of this I need, but I need to make 2.5 of these trays in black. I've figured that much out, how many black cubes I need. So I've made up a fair amount of black polyurethane, and knowing it's going to take me a little time to fill up the cubes, and I know it cures so quickly, I don't want to overdo it and have it cure in the mixing cup. So with this amount, I think it was about 300 ml, I've managed to fill up one and half fill another. So I needed to make another amount because I need about 2.5 trays of black blocks. And I need to be able to turn them out and have separate blocks, so I needed them not to be overfilled as well. FYI here, if you ever decide to do this yourself, don't do black first. It took me so long to clean out these moulds of every little speck of black in them. Start with the lightest colour first. Once they're all cured up, it's time to start demoulding and see what I've got. Now, there are some bubbles in these, but they're not on the bottom. The bottom part of these blocks is the part that needs to be bubble free. They will be the top of the piece that I'm making, and you won't really see the rest of the block. So as long as there's no bubbles underneath at the bottom, I'm happy. Once I've demoulded, I have a lot of really nice square black blocks, perfect for what I need. So that's the black ones. One colour down, several to go. So I'm going to be using Resin Polyurethane for this, and this is white polyurethane. As I need different colours, I'm going to need quite a lot of colour in it to get a decent colour, because white polyurethane will dilute any colour that you put inside them. This is hopefully going to be a dark brown. Now, I know that it won't be because it's white polyurethane, but I'm hoping it will be darkish. It turned out a lot lighter than what I wanted. So, as I needed a light brown, I used this as the light brown. And when it came to the dark brown, I used a lot more colour in it. Now, I did have to make about 5 amounts of this, and I tried really hard to use the same amount of pigment in each pour, so that the blocks were the same colour. Some of them were slightly darker than others, but it was generally the same colour. There are a lot of this colour. It's the biggest one that I had to make. And as I made quite a lot, I started to notice they were coming out an irregular shape. But I have loads. So after they'd had 4 or 5 pours, you could see the moulds were starting to go out of shape. I was getting blocks that were square on the bottom, but were really out of shape on the top. And I had ordered some more moulds that weren't going to turn up till the following day. So silly me decides to carry on and make some more blocks in a misshaped mould, which is a bad mistake. I should have waited for the new mould to turn up. This impatience caused me a lot of time, and I'll explain why later. Once the new moulds turn up, I could make some really nice square blocks again in yellow. Now I'm showing you throughout this video the colours that I'm using. I'm basically using colours that don't usually get used because they're stuffed in the bottom of the drawer. I then chose a colour that I thought was a really dark brown, and for some reason it went grey. Doesn't matter, I can handle grey in this make. Grey is okay. Look at the amount of blocks I need. This was kind of worrying me because of the time it's going to take to build what I'm making. And I started by sticking blocks together with glue, knowing full well that it was going to take time for the glue to set. But as I was making it, I decided I really didn't like the way it looked. So I pulled those pieces apart and I ended up recycling them later. What I really wanted was spacers between the blocks. So I bought some 2mm double-sided sticky foam pads. Now I bought the pads which were separate, and I thought they've got to be easier, but each pad needed the backing removed, and my dexterity is not what it used to be. So even though it was convenient for the size, it wasn't convenient for taking off the back. Now I started with black blocks and it's on a black background. I do apologise about that because I didn't think about the colour on colour and you can't really see what I'm doing. But the white spaces go between each block. In that respect, you can see a definition between each block, and they should in theory all be the same distance apart. I intend to build up a picture, and as I'm going to do each colour separately and put it all together towards the end, they all need to be exactly the same size, the same distance apart. Like you would put up tiles in a bathroom, you need spacers so that they all fit together. So that's the plan. That's what I'm using. The little tiny ones that were convenient were really not convenient. The rolls were much better. And I'll show you a bit later how I made each of those rolls really last. I started to build up my designs. Now I did have a pattern sitting to one side of me, and I'll tell you what that is later. I don't want to give it away because I want you to try and figure out what it is. It might take you a while. To be fair, you're not going to know what it is I'm doing until later in the video. But rest assured, it will actually come together as a picture. This piece is something that I wanted to do for a very long time, as I said at the beginning, but the pattern is key. That little block had a partner, near enough the same, and those two are done. And then I wanted quite a few other pieces that were black. So I made all of the black pieces, and once I'd finished, I put them in a box and put them to one side and got on with something else. And this is where I'm showing you what I did with the tape. Tape was far too big, so I sliced it down the middle, put it onto a plastic sheet, and I could peel off the top before I sliced up the tape into manageable pieces. Therefore, every time I put it together, I didn't have to take off the top bit individually. Much quicker. I did find quite a lot of quicker and easier ways to do this throughout me trying it, because I'd never done anything like this before. But I am one for finding convenient shortcuts and improvements in how I do things. And I just thought I'd share them while I'm going through this. Now it is going to be big. I wasn't sure to start with how big this was going to be. But the more I'm putting together the pieces, the more I think this is going to be huge, which is fine. It's going to end up as a piece of wall art. So by this point, I've realised it's going to be about 3/4 of a metre or 75 centimetres high and probably about 60 centimetres wide. This colour was grey and I'm quite happy it was grey. It definitely defines itself as grey, although when I mixed it, it looked very brown and it was called hickory. Is hickory grey? I don't know. Now I'm starting to put bits of colour together. I've done the solid blocks of colour and this is where the colour starts mixing together. Now the pattern that I have sitting to one side of me was facing upwards and I'm putting these blocks together knowing that the underneath is the side that's going to go up, right? I'm putting them upside down so that they're all going to be flat when I turn them over because some blocks are thicker than others. I hope that makes sense. So when I am using the pattern, I have to be very conscious of the fact that it's actually what I'm making is backwards to the pattern. So I keep turning it over to make sure that I've got it right. But the pieces are looking much bigger now and they're starting to get the remnants of the finished piece in these pieces. Now some of the blocks weren't sticking together very well and that was because they were misshapen. Not only that, but they had cured with a shiny type surface on them and were not sticking together very well with the tape. I definitely needed to sort them out. I needed to sand each one back to a square more or less and without the shininess so the tape would stick to them. So I went to the garage with one of the offending colours and I started hand sanding and realised this was going to take me forever. I ended up setting up my Dremel in a vise and after a few pieces I got the hang of how quick I could do it. Sand, 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 cube done. And that's basically how quick it got. This was the very first time I tried it with the Dremel. Honestly, I was so slow to start with, but I soon picked up the speed. I had to do this colour and the light brown and it did take me a couple of hours. But it needed doing. I certainly didn't want to abandon or waste the ones I'd already poured. And there was a lot of resin in these pieces. And I was running short on polyurethane resin as well. So I had to make good the ones that I'd made. And they did actually work quite well. If you remember me saying, it was the underside, the bottom of the pieces that were going to be the front of this art piece. So that was the side that needed to be square and all of the pieces that I'd made, the part that was closest to the mould was squarest. So I just had to sand down the top bits. So now I'm working on the main part, the middle part, if you like, of this art piece. Again, I'm still not giving it away to what it is. Can you guess? Can you see what it is yet? I'm starting to incorporate the black pieces that I've made. And this is where they all start coming together, all of the pieces that I've already made. There are a couple of pieces that I still need to make, some bigger pieces, there's 4 to each side. But this is the main piece in the middle. Now, as I was putting this together, I really couldn't see the picture myself. Kept thinking it looked like a chicken. It's not a chicken, okay? This was all made with a cross-stitch pattern, and that is what I wanted to make. Something made from resin with a cross-stitch pattern. It's a very small, straightforward pattern, but that is where it came from, and I got it from Creative Fabrica. This is one of the top parts on one side, and there's basically the same on the other side. This is more of the centre part. I was limited with space, so I had to do each part separately. It's only really at the end that I could fit everything together. But it was difficult working back to front with the pattern facing the wrong way. Several times I had to pull things apart and put them back together. I'll give you a hint. This is a mouth and these are paws. Does that help? And now the pieces are becoming a large single piece. This was quite exciting. I could see the end in sight. This had taken me days. I actually didn't think I was going to get this video up in time because it had taken me far longer than I thought it was going to. And what with everyday life and work that gets in the way, and all the extra bits that I didn't calculate into the time of making this. It was taking an age. However, when it was coming together, it was a joy to see. Can you guess what it is yet? Still looks a bit like a chicken. It's not a chicken. I think I've already said that. Now can you see what it is? It's quite exciting to see all the bits come together. It really is. I'm actually doubling up on the space here. There is a glass shelf on top of the green mat with another piece underneath because I was running out of room. My husband did keep coming in and saying, "Aren't you bored yet? Aren't you bored yet?" And actually, no, it was very therapeutic to me, but it did take a long time. But then any cross-stitch pattern does. This got so big I had to raise the camera arm quite a long way from the desk. I've cut a piece of wood at the right sort of size for it, and that is overhanging my worktop because it wouldn't have fit on the worktop, so I needed the wood to put it together. It's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle, but now it is not stable. It's on the worktop, so hopefully in the next few weeks I'll be able to stabilise this and make it a hanging piece of wall art. So that's going to be another video because this video is far too long already. But I hope you've enjoyed it and I hope you've had fun trying to figure out what it was. This project has been a massive undertaking for me, but sometimes you just have to do what your heart is telling you to do, and I've been wanting to do this for so long. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one and I hope you've got something out of it. Come back and see me next week because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week, happy crafting, and bye for now.